cut, Pete McCordick, and last year's winner of the tournament, Mats Carlson, finished 17th. But here's the man that finished fourth. He has won his first match, 207 to 170, shooting first on the left lane. All-time PBA career leader in money. Seemed like a very slow shot, leaving the 4-9.
The left-hand lane giving the players the most trouble as he has a 4-9 split. And watch what Mark has to do. He has to get the ball over here by the 4-pin, slide that 4-pin across, and knock it into the 9. Not too difficult for a pro of Mark's caliber. I'd say 3-to-1 odds. He'll go for it in the early frames.
Also close. That only counts in horseshoes, and you'll see a world champion in our final game today, Walter Ray Williams. 4 times horseshoe pitching champion.
Roth just slides by Chris here, and it'd be interesting to see if he has a letdown against his good friend and roommate Joe Berardi, who's now up on the approach. First shot.
33-year-old Joe Berardi, 16 years on the tour, 6 championships. Very, very smooth stylist, leaving the 3-6 on the right lane and the furrowed brow.
I think that tells some of the stories. You see the ball go high on the right-hand lane. These players expected both of these lanes to be about the same. The left lane to break maybe a board more than the right today. It's absolutely much different. The right lane's extremely tight. The left lane's hooking.
What speed, Joe Berardi. He's 5'9", weighs 140 pounds, but like spring steel. He unloads at the line when he wants to.
A lot of tendon strength in that wiry body, and he threw that spare shot the fastest I can recall in the Professional Bowlers Tour, 24 miles an hour. Not really necessary to get it done that well, but they're down. So here's Roth leading by 11, second frame. I'm sorry, Berardi.
There's Joe's first strike on live television on the AC Delco Classic. That brought a smile, didn't it? Took some of those wrinkles out of the forehead. Now, his pal, Mark Roth. 9 through the first, shooting in the second. And again, the speed.
Well, we've seen a shot similar to that before as Mark Roth left the big 5 the frame before in this lane, and now he cuts right through the middle of the lane. He leaves the 4, 6, 7, and 9. What Roth has to do is get the ball right over here and slide it over.
Stuck at the line, nearly fell over it. Mark Roth. He'll have to regroup now as he'll be moving to the left lane because it's how often, Bo, have you ever seen Mark Roth with 2 open frames in 2 frames?
Not very often, Chris. The greatest bowler of all time leading money winner, but you never, as an opponent, you can never count yourself in the victory circle when you're bowling Roth. He could just as easily string 10 strikes in a row here and end up with a 257 game. So you keep bowling against yourself and forget about Roth.
There's one. Does a nice little body English hip movement at the line when he knows he's unleashed a good one. Mark Roth. All right.
And the Pro Bowlers Tour, Chris will be going to the Quaker State Open, and Brian Voss will be defending his title down there. We're down seeing Jeannie Halsey and that group down there in Grand Prairie, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth. A great tournament.
The house with the chandeliers. Oh, big one for Joe Berardi. A double. Leading now by 33 pins over his pal, Mark Roth.
Berardi, just an ideal delivery. He's a textbook style. Look at the left shoulder in perfect position. The right shoulder driving through the ball. Good knees bend, good follow through. Berardi has a double in the early going, and he leads by 33 pins. Can extend to 43 with a strike here in the 4th frame. This is the kind of lane condition Berardi likes. Tough.
Joe Berardi takes a 43-pin lead over his roommate Mark Roth here in our second game. This is the AC Delco Classic, and we're delighted to have Arch Rosell, the general sales manager, here, along with his other teammates that you see smiling there. They're a great group, but we do miss Archie Long, executive in charge service parts operation of General Motors. Archie got this all started for us the 7th year, and Archie, wherever you are, we hope you're enjoying the automobile show in Detroit.
And here's Berardi striking the 4th frame, gets a great break as the 2-pin trips the 4 out. Now watch the 2-pin knock out the 4. He knows it right there. Takes a 43-pin lead, but standing on the approach right now is bowling's greatest figure, Mark Roth, trying to cut into that lead. Brooklyn.
Attaboy, Mark.
As we call it on the tour, an RBF, a reverse blowing 5, Chris. He throws that ball so far to the left that the 3-pin actually takes out the 5-pin as it hooks by the pocket. A great break for Roth. Watch this pin action. The ball hits the 1 and 2 pins. Now watch the 2. It'll deflect off the 4-pin into the 5. Very unusual pin action, but it's kept Roth in the match. He can cut the lead of Berardi's down to 23 with another strike.
But instead leaving the 2-8, the sleeper 8 on the left lane.
Confusion on Roth's face as he says, all right, as he let that ball go, but it slides by the head pin, leaving the 2-8 spare. Roth from the extreme right side will throw a rocket down there trying to make sure to get the 8-pin out, and he'll still be in arrears by 35 pins through 5 frames.
17-mile-an-hour shot from Mark Roth, but he doesn't do it anymore. Doesn't really crank it up. Well,
Chris, just like great baseball pitchers, they have to learn to change as they lose that velocity on the ball. Roth has done that over the period of years, and as you noted, doesn't throw the big cranker, throws enough power to get the job done. And here's a young guy who has just been as steady as can be in his whole career, won over 600,000, 3 majors, can extend his lead to 45.
Joe Berardi. Joe earlier talked to us about a new incentive for the 1988 season. You see this.
Watch this spin action. He crosses over. Earl Anthony or Mike McGrath, one of the great lefties, would be proud of this shot, but a right-hander will take it. 3-pin goes to sideboard, kicks out the 6 and 10s, kind of answers Roth's shot of in the 4th frame where he crossed over and got a great break. Now Berardi in command with 45 pins and 4 in a row.
Leaving the 6-10, the boy from Brooklyn. He and his wife, Debbie, are the parents of 2 children. And they're expecting twins. Uh-oh.
Well, he almost had twin pins standing up here, Chris, as he broke down the 4 and 7, left the 6-10. Berardi with that good spare shooting angle. Maintains a 43-pin lead.
Okay, Joe Berardi, having strung 4, marking with a spare in the 6th frame. Now we're going to find out Joe's new incentive for the new year.
Well, yes, at the end of the fall tour, I was informed that my wife was going to have twins. So I figured I had to come out here and work all that much harder. I mean, it was a great surprise. I love children. I have 2 now, a boy and a girl, and I miss them quite a bit. But this new incentive has made me revert back to the bowler I was.
Mark Roth in the 6th frame, leaving the 2-4. Joe and Debbie Berardi.
Now Roth struggling. High on the left lane, light on the right lane. He's a 2-4 spare. He will still trail by 45 pins.
And remember, he won the first game over Jim Pinsack, 207 to 170. The winner of this game will meet Pete Weber from Florissant, Missouri, and then Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
Roth, who has a great record in the AC Delco Classic in 9 participations in tournaments here. He's made the TV championship round 4 times. He has a 1st, a 2nd, a 5th, and if he doesn't get going here right now, he'll have a 4th to add to that record. Trails by 45, 7th frame, must start striking.
And it's another 10-pin for Mark Roth. Remember last week he finished 2nd in Las Vegas to Amleto Monticelli. And this is frustrating for the competitor that he is.
Packed house of expert bowling writers. Don Schneider from the Los Angeles Times, and of course Bob Johnson, the freelance writer, does so much quality work around the country, in attendance today.
Mark Roth had a victory last year in Buffalo, but prior to that, his last win was in 1984. This great champion is trailing by 46 pins in his second match of the afternoon, winning over Jim Pensack in the first, now trailing his roommate Joe Berardi of Brooklyn. Joe is up in the 7th frame, spare working, leading by 46. A high hit, a 3-6-10.
Both players obviously struggling, as we saw last week in the Las Vegas tournament. And what happens on the lane conditions like this? The PBA oils the lanes 48 feet. That's much farther than you normally see in league conditions. What happens is that oil gets carried farther and farther down the lane. It makes it very difficult to control.
Sliding by the 3 at 24 miles an hour.
Well, Berardi, who seems to have this match well in hand, kind of opened the door for Roth with that particular shot. He would have maintained a 43-pin lead as he quickly grabs his ball, but he slides by the 3-6-10 pins, leaving the 3 pins standing, but he still has a 32-pin lead. But the match is up for grabs. 8th frame.
The sleeper 8 just rocking back there. 2-8. On the left lane for Joe Berardi as Pete Weber gets up, warms up. You hear the pin fall.
Same shot that we saw Mark Roth end up with there in the 6th frame. Berardi pins have in the 8th frame. Head pin goes to sideboard, takes out the 4 and 7 pins, leaves the 2-8. Once again, the key pin, the back pin, the 8 pin.
Okay, it's a sunny day in Torrance, California, suburb of vast Los Angeles. We're here for the 11th time at the Gable House, and the owner there is the right of your screen, Jack Cogan, with his son Mickey, the manager, on the left, and in the striped shirt, great race driver, his son Kevin Cogan.
Mark Roth, 8 frames, spare working, trails by 32. He still has a chance, but he has to start throwing strikes right here.
There's Pete Weber. Look at that smile, but there will be very few smiles when he's competing, believe me. Intense.
4 of the greatest bowlers on the Professional Bowlers Tour here in the final 4 players. Roth, the all-time money winner. Joe Berardi won 3 major titles. All he needs is the Toledo Trust Corp title, the PBA National, and Toledo win that this year. He'd be the 3rd winner of bowling's Triple Crown to go along with Petraglia and Hardwick. Then we have Walter Ray Williams Jr. and, of course, Weber. Now here's Roth. Must shot.
Didn't get it. A 3-6-10.
Just see Roth's rhythm off. The ball slows down. He's 17 miles an hour on one, then he's 15 on the next. Here's a 15-mile-an-hour shot. The ball drifts high, leaves the 3-6-10 spare, which I believe Roth will make, but he's in so much trouble here. The best Roth can do is 192. Berardi going at a 2:14 pace.
Mark with a spare in the important 9th frame. Now Joe Berardi, whose very first television win was the United States Open in 1979. Adding that Masters, adding the Firestone in 83. Ten again.
Despite the 10-pin, Roth, that Berardi left on that particular shot, you could see how calm and smooth he was. He waited for the ball, made a real good shot, and so he seems to have his nerves and this match under control.
Joe Berardi is in his 31st television appearance. His pal Mark Roth is 97th. Here we go. Next week to Grand Prairie, Texas. Grand people there, Bo, for the 150,000 Quaker State Open. Then to Harvey, Louisiana, near New Orleans, for the Greater New Orleans Classic. Don Carter Lanes, Venice, Florida, for the Bowlers Journal, Florida Open, then to Miami, Miller Tournament. Joe has a lot of fans here in Southern California.
And with that particular shot, he locks up the match. Chris, he's going to be at least in the 200s, much more than Roth, and he'll go on to meet Pete Weber in the semifinals. Going to be exciting.